Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Engineering Edition. This is me, Wes Kamran, and with me, my co host, Anton Shurin. What's up, Anton?
All
What's
good,
good?
man. All everything. We are going good, and we are doing good, and the world is changing. What about you?
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Every week, the world changes.
Absolutely.
3 weeks back, we had Devin. Now we have some open source Devins. So, yeah, it's getting somewhere. Life's good. Life's good. And I hope all the viewers are good as well. So, for today's topic, we have an interesting platform to discuss. So, this is a kind of a platform which Anton's a huge advocate about it, and I'm gonna go this far to say that because if he's been trying to convince me to shift my attention to Vercel, and I thought that let's put it on a podcast because this one's interesting. So, our topic for today for all the Next.js users and developers out there and project managers out there who are planning to shift to Next.js or they're working in some form or fashion already. So, yeah, tell us about Vercel, Anton.
Oh, that's
This is
really
your 1 minute pitch. This is
brought
your
up.
1 minute pitch. I'm gonna I'm gonna put a lot of pressure on you.
Okay, yeah, seems like
So,
fair.
so yeah, so yeah. This
No
this is
pressure,
your this is,
absolutely. Just one
this is your
minute.
moment. This is your moment.
Okay, the Vercel. Okay, let me try to be as simple as possible. The Vercel is the all-in-one platform with the zero zero learning curve deliver experience to set up and run your Next.js application. And compared to AWS or any cloud provider, you need to know a lot. Just you at least just must need to know the basics, how to
Cool.
set
So when
up
you
it,
say,
run it.
can we call it a zero code platform? Or
It's not actually like this, but probably yes.
I mean, with the whole advent of AI, obviously, eventually there will be some zero code platforms, but by stretch, I believe Vercel has sort of, you know, picked its spot in there, right? It's
True.
it's like it's there. It's not there yet,
Yep.
like in terms of 100% zero code platform, but it's on a journey right now.
Absolutely.
And I see that happening. But please go on. I
Yeah,
interrupted your pitch.
that's fair. And how do you say it for the Vercel, as you mentioned, it's not a zero. In any case, you have some sort of the configuration or things you must set up. For example, I don't know, the domain, the certificates, if needed, just buy a domain, put some variables, some configuration stuff, integrations. But moreover, it will not require absolutely any knowledge. Just just create next track app. You will open the just push it to the GitHub or Bitbucket or any platform you want. Connect to the Vercel and run it. And if you need to go it publicly, you need to buy a domain, and you can go through Vercel or you can buy a domain by yourself and just make a good relation with the Vercel via some documentation how to do it per provider, and you're a
Mhm.
rockstar. It works.
Cool. And who's our audience? Like, for which pool of people would Vercel be a good fit? Is it for startups, or can we use it within the enterprise applications? Like, what's your take on that?
Just my take there, it's for all hobby and side projects is must have. For
Mhm.
small startups and maybe small companies, or
Mhm.
just the people who just convert into the small companies, it will still be beneficial, just to not waste a lot of time and days and
Yeah.
hire the infrastructure engineers just in terms of the let's say it, just trade off, right? rather than just to
Yeah.
pay someone salary. But easy to invest it in a Vercel.
Cool. Cool. Like for very small scale applications. Perfect.
Yep.
If and do you think project managers or product managers can use Vercel? Like, is it because when you're thinking of a product and if you're working in or if you want to launch a product, definitely, as you said, one take would be to hire engineers to hire a team of like 3 people, let's say. Uh, but instead, if the co-founders want to like scrub up their idea a bit, would Vercel be a good replacement, or do you still need a team to actually put together a functional web application?
I think it's coming with a lot of questions, but
Let's break it.
moreover,
Let's break it.
okay, if you want to go fast, really fast,
Mhm.
the Vercel, I think it's just your friend, definitely your friend, until some point where you need to talk about just infrastructure or maybe some kind of the huge scale, right? Because
Yeah.
in Vercel, it's not AWS, it's not a cloud provider. It's just a solution for full stack web app. And until you
Okay.
position yourself in this box, is the ideal solution. And when you
Uh-huh.
just cross this border, it just maybe not a case, and maybe you need just to hire someone or think about the architecture or future scaling or distributes a lot of things. And I know a lot of the guys pretty happy with the Vercel, and they making some kind of the sidecars rather than replace everything. They will move some parts to the infrastructure to make it gradually, slowly, just piece by piece. For example, let's bring the one service or monolith or whatever just as a sidecar, and we can call this service.
And we can use it for both web application and mobile platforms, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
But
All
not
right.
not mobile native, but for
Oh
mobile
yeah, yeah.
native.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Progressive web applications.
Yep.
Perfect. So what are the key offerings by Vercel? Like, if you want to sell me, like, my question would be why I should use Vercel or why I should introduce Vercel into my development ecosystem.
I think it's just simple. Let's break it down in some bullet points. It's easy to use. It's easy to learn. It's the great documentation, and you don't need to invest time or to educate your team. It means
Okay.
just you can start from now.
All
Just
right. And
go ahead.
it's just for the Next.js, right? For Next.js
Yep.
developers.
No, it's actually compatible with Astra and a lot of tools, but
Mhm.
just the main focus is just Next.js because Next.js has a lot of variety how you can use the app. Or maybe you can also think about the Remix.
All
It's a
right.
huge
All right.
competitor of Next.js.
That's cool. That's cool. And can we use it for React?
Oh,
I
yes.
mean,
Yes, just Next.js. What it's React, right? React with some modifications.
no, just like if we need to generate like components, and I know Vercel offers it, and we're gonna talk about that. I was just a bit interested, like if Vercel offers you to build React components the way it does with Next.js.
I didn't try it honestly. Um, but I'm pretty sure they have React's solution. Definitely
Yeah,
because yeah,
given the similarity, given the
absolutely.
similarity,
I think
should be
I have
should be
2 points which I remember. Um, Vercel as the deviation between using the app router and the page routers. And I'm pretty sure for
Mhm.
the old one, it's not applicable, or right now it's applicable, but with some trade offs. But I know for the new generation, for the Next.js app structure, you can use something called just React scripts or something like this, and they
Mhm.
will generate just a static files, and you can use just pure React.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. Yeah, that's a good workaround. All
Yeah, it's not
right.
actually a workaround, but it depends on your case. If you want just a full life cycle where you're using just isomorphic site generation, static site generation, and you want to juggle it and make just
Mhm,
this partial rendering, partial pre-rendering, and other things, this is Next.js, right? Or Remix, just or HTMX, or just a lot of things. But if you want just a pure React, it just works as a script. Just you interesting to build a bundle or bundle plus
mhm,
chunks or chunks, deploy it, and the
mhm.
people just should download it and use the app.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So in terms of infrastructure in general, like how can you explain where does it fit in between the whole thing?
It's AWS.
It's AWS strictly
Behind
in
Vercel, it's AWS. Yeah,
okay.
with their own
Okay.
magic, it means they have some sort of the abstraction on top of the cloud front
Mhm.
to make it fast, reliable, and grab the data and present it as a just part of the platform.
Ah, nice, nice, nice. So so once we actually start using it, we use Vercel to generate Next.js code. That's step one, right? Stop me or correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, and then we can hook it up with GitHub, or can we deploy it straight to the AWS?
Oh, it's just main process. You have the GitHub repo, and
Mhm,
it is a really how to say it really convenient with a lot of providers. For example, GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, and you will connect your repo to Vercel, and behind the scene they have some sort of the configuration as any runner, for example Netlify or FlyIO, and anything you can put your specific runs if you have, but they have by default they analyze what you're using, for example pnpm or npm or yarn or whatever, and they
okay.
predefine just a script how to run it, and you actually don't care a lot. You will just put just test it, right? This is some sort of the water flow, and
Mhm.
deploy just give me the link, and you delegate
Oh,
all this
nice.
complexity to the Vercel.
Right, right, right. So the generation part and the infra part, somewhat, some bit of it would be actually delegated to Vercel in a
Everything, yeah.
developer's workflow. Perfect. Are there like any examples that you can convince me more?
Examples to use
Or
Vercel.
if they're, yeah,
mm, More. For example, if you have, let's assume the startup, right? You have a great idea, you want to go fast, and you don't know the future, right? And the future is changing every day. And for example, at some point, you
sure.
need a blog, right? And I know a lot of the guys who will just can talk forever regarding just it's better to use monorepo or polyrepo or two projects or one project. But in terms of
Yeah,
the scale, where you, how to say it, when every minute, every day matters, you want to have this flexibility along the way.
yeah,
And in this case, you're using the Next.js, and you actually don't need to be really proficient to understand what happened if it's any issue, or I don't know, just I don't know, just downtime or anything else, or just some shutdown somewhere. You want to grab this data. And if you're a super experienced engineer, it's fine to know just variety of tools and be super
yeah,
proficient and experienced to quickly know where to get the data. But we all know the people, how to say it, we can change the team, we can just hire someone, I don't know, outsource out stuff, freelance, and it could be complicated because only the
for
few
sure,
key people will be responsible
for
for
sure.
that.
Okay.
And in terms of the business plus development experience, I think it's more convenient to have flexibility. And I had a case where we started the project, and after, I don't know, 3 months, the guy said me just, we want the security, right? And security for the web, it's really tricky part.
S- Yeah, there's a lot.
Uh, a lot.
There's a lot you'll have to do on the front end, on the back end, on the infrastructure layer, obviously.
Absolutely. And for example, if you're using the Next.js or Remix or some other, or just React server components, a lot of tools, we can hide a lot of things from the user. And
Hmm.
especially it's really cool is this is the combination because you're focusing only the problem, right? Because let's assume you need to build a sidecar where you need to mount a server component or worker which will be in separate network. It will send separate requests. The people, it's just sorry, user shouldn't know. It should execute on the server. It is coming with a lot of trade-offs, right?
Yeah,
But to have ability to modify it on the way, you keep it running. It's more interesting and more engagement for the business, for the team, for the customers, because it's not require a lot of tools. Maybe it's a bit noisy, especially for the some implementation or some stylish things or anything else. But it's enjoyable moment because you can make it like this, and it works.
yeah. Cool. That's that's something. All right. In terms of pricing, like I know it's kind of expensive, like some part of it, but uh,
That's true.
can you
That's true. Uh, Actually,
like
until
can
some
you
point,
just
yeah, go ahead.
like for example, here's a thought. I want to build a website, and let's say we want to build a website for our podcast. Let's take that for example.
Okay.
And if we do, can we do that within the free version, or if we need to get the premium version, or what are the differences in terms of pricing and stuff? Because I know there are a lot of site generation tools out there, but they're not that good. Like they do
True.
something for you. They generate the HTML or CSS. Uh, Not in terms of functionality, of course, but they miss a lot as well. It's not. I don't think I would use any of those tools for production. So my question here would be, if Vercel is a tool that can help me go to production without, having a bare doubt in my head, like, no, I don't want to use this landing page on production, stuff like that. You get what I'm saying, right?
Yep.
So is Vercel a tool?
I think Vercel is a tool. And how to say it, it depends how you use the Vercel. For example, until some point, until the free plan,
Mhm.
mainly it works amazing because you're paying just $20 per month, just
Yeah, that's
per month,
convenient.
per month,
Chad
per member.
Chad GPT's 20 or 25.
20, I
I
think
think. Yeah,
20.
yeah,
Yeah, and
20. Yeah,
it just fine, right? It feels fine because you can just do some magic and just use the one account across the group and everyone will be happy. But when you go into the some sort of the scaling where a lot of people will start using your app, you will come to the some point, does it worth it or not? And does it worth it or not? It, how to say it, here it's the point, should we invest in other tool or the infrastructure or how we can reduce the cost? Because for every business, the cost reduction is a vital part, right? Because everyone wants
yeah,
to pay less and have more. And in
for
this
sure.
case, for example, if
Especially,
yeah,
the co-founder folks.
yeah, absolutely. And in this case, for example, solution for if you're using a lot of the edge functions and middlewares, we have,
Hmm.
I will share the link in our, I can't, I can't post comments. Okay, never mind. I
Really?
will share right after. Yeah, for some reason. We have something called Hona.dev, and the Hona.dev is the sidecar with the really small trade-offs, and
Hmm.
it's using exactly just 95% exactly the same as the casual
It's
Next.js API.
ono.dev, right?
Yeah,
Ono
Hono.dev.
ono.dev. All right, let me just bring it up.
Yes. And you can, how do you say, the Hona will run the all edge functions in Cloudflare. And if you have the tons of usage, tons of hits,
Hmm.
it will be pretty beneficial because this is really cheap. And
Ah,
also, in case if you're using the or how do you say it? Just if you're using as a provider for example, for domain with all these security configuration, certification, it will be more beneficial because it's still in the same ecosystem, right?
nice, nice. Got it, got it. So we're so Hono.dev is, as it says, it's lightweight, it's fast, runs on any JavaScript runtime.
Yeah, it's
So
Cloudflare worker.
what are the key takeaways here?
The key takeaway is just for Honor or overall, guys.
Yeah,
Just the
you
main
froze.
takeaway for Honor or overall.
No, just Hono.
For the Honor, I think it's just you need to change 5% of how you write in the API, and if you can
Hmm.
save a lot of money,
Okay.
especially
How
if
in
you're
terms
using
of money?
Cloudflare. And in terms of the
Oh, for
money,
Cloudflare.
if I remember for the Vercel after the let's call it free tier,
I have like one question here. Like, not everybody is on Cloudflare, right?
yep,
Obviously, if, when we're talking about Cloudflare, we're talking about that very small percentage of companies who have just are on a verge of building something. Mostly, I believe AWS is the is the king of the cloud. I can say that, right?
fair, yeah. You have a certificate from
So,
AWS, you can fairly say it.
sorry, Azure folks. Sorry,
Sorry,
cloud.
Digital
Google.
Ocean. Sorry, GCP.
Sorry, GCP. No, we worked on GCP. I love GCP, but a little biasness for AWS only in terms of pricing. But so I mean, like, why would I use Hono if AWS is offering me already like very low par pricing and a lot of discounts and stuff? Like, where does it would actually help me in my particular use case?
Let's assume, as we discussed, we writing the some podcast landing page, right? And
Yeah.
let's
Okay.
assume we have some
Podcast
kind
web
of the
page.
votes or comments or suggestion
Hmm.
or maybe the some chat or I don't
Yeah.
know, just AI assistant or anything you can imagine. And let's assume this is just we need to call some API, right? And this API should live
Not just any
somewhere.
API for contacts. Sorry, for
Send
comments,
emails.
send mails. I believe. Obviously, we'll need to write middlewares. We'll need to consume if we're using any front end specific libraries. For example, if you want to use Facebook comments, you have to do a lot of work there.
Yeah.
Okay, true.
And all these
Uh,
middlewares and API calls should live somewhere, right? And in any case, you will call it.
yes,
And if it's
in our
tons of
source code.
traffic, exactly. And in
Okay,
this
okay.
case, even if you're hitting database, even if you're hitting the database, you should run some instance, right? You should pay for this instance. And
Yes.
when you hit growing, I think it will be more convenient to think and try out, for example, just rewrite few endpoints, few heavy endpoints to Honor and try.
Okay, so HANA is basically uh it's a replacement for these
It's not
middle
replacement.
layers.
It's exactly the same. Like, example, you're using, I don't know, some CSS, and you can use less, and you can use SCSS, right?
Ah,
It's
I see.
behind the scene. It's exactly the same CSS, but
Hmm.
with the difference a bit just styling, and
Right.
just it's just 5% difference.
Can we show up HANA and just see? I cannot. I don't think I can share it for some weird
Share the
reason.
screen.
Yeah. Can you do that? If you're able to do that.
Hope so.
Let's see. Ah, there we are. And there's a lot of us.
Okay, for the Honor.
Oh no.
Yes, and it's pretty easy in terms of how
Uh,
how to use it.
can we like zoom it up a bit? I
Sure.
cannot see the very first snippet. Yeah, pretty much. All right, Hano. So what do we have? Hano means flame in Japanese.
Yes,
Am I pronouncing it right? Is it like Hano?
I hope so. Yeah, as I heard,
Okay,
it's Hono, not Hono. It's Hono.
Hano. Okay, all right,
I know the one friend who knows Japanese. I will ask him.
perfect. Sorry if any Japanese folks are watching it. We're like
Yep.
totally new with Japanese.
And guys, if you're familiar with Node.js
Oh yeah, we all
or
are. Who
Express,
isn't?
yeah, it's absolutely just some convenience. And if you know more, for example, Golang or Rust or anything, just it's not the heart attack. It's
Hmm.
absolutely fine. And here's some features and
Ultra fast, lightweight, multi runtime. What does
Vercel.
that mean?
And for the Vercel, as you may see, it works as is.
All right, all right.
Just not something fancy, just a bit different variation how we will implement it rather than we
Hmm.
have it on Vercel. Because if we open, sorry, just Next.js API.
Hmm.
For the Next.js API, we have more or less this notation, right? When we're getting everything from Next, we are defining the handler, we have request response, and we do something.
Okay.
If we open the Hona, the same, but a bit different notation. But we should
All right.
return, especially for Next.js, just the get and the post if you want to use it as inconvenience. That's it.
Again, the question would be like, what benefit am I getting eventually out of this? Out of using HANA?
Money, money, money wise.
Okay. In what ways?
The
Like if
Cloudflare
I
work
go
is
either way.
pretty cheap.
Okay. Only with Cloudflare?
Um,
I
I think
think
the
so.
Cloudflare it's more most just it's just easy to do, especially.
Okay.
And yeah, maybe AWS, but we can come back to SST a bit later.
All right. All right.
It's also good
Perfect.
replacement. But the Hona, for example, if you just key point not the entire application, right? Just some API where you have the huge traffic, the huge load, huge hits, the Hona is solution. And it's
All right.
easy sidecar which you can implement and just slow down your expenses.
Gotcha. Perfect. All right.
Okay,
So do we need to see any other stuff around Vercel? Or are we
well,
good?
I think we're good. We can go to SST because I'm sharing screen. We can go to the SST and talk about the way where you think about to bring some kind of the infrastructure because you're spending too much money on the
Okay.
Vercel.
So this says deploy an XJS Weld or Astro to AWS. Add any backend feature.
Yep.
Grow from idea to okay.
Yep. This is the main idea of SST. It's to give engineers the configuration where they can set up how they want to deploy to the AWS CloudFront account
Okay.
the the project. Just for simplicity, let's talk about the Next.js, right? And as you can see, this is just some kind of the example of Next.js. We defined in the past, the custom. It's a lot of configuration, a lot of features which you can set up on the fly, and
Mhm.
especially on your
Add any
project.
backend feature, database, GraphQL API. Ah, this
Yes,
introns.
yes, Kafka, a lot of things you can do.
Oh,
Notification,
right.
cron jobs. Just it means comparing to the Vercel, the SST give you the some kind of the control through configuration, right?
All
Because
right.
on the Vercel you have something called integrations. You can add more integrations. In
Right.
SST you have more control because you configure that. It's not the black box for you, it's the white box. You can open this box, do whatever you like, you close this box.
Gotcha. Interesting. Man, technology is moving fast.
Exactly. And some examples you can also see it's a lot of things, and especially SST works pretty well with the edge functions as well,
Mhm.
and not only for Node.js.
Mhm.
They also, how to say, I tried with the Golang. It works pretty amazing because I know this is the tricky part, how to integrate with AWS without the deep knowledge. Just it's some list of steps you need to do, right? With the
Gotcha.
SST, it's just easy. You have a configuration and you rely on the ecosystem. And the ecosystem will do these steps for you, but you still have the
Right.
control.
All right. All right. Makes sense. This is nice.
Yep,
And we have a lot of use cases around it.
absolutely. React
Oh,
pages, custom domains, deployments, conclusions, S3, API, wherever you like.
so this will just, hook that particular snippet to the workflow,
Yep,
just like that.
yep.
All right. And what about the configurations? Do we need to set up those configurations ourselves, or we just use the environment variables?
No, you configuring by yourself. For example, this is,
Yeah.
let's assume, some sort of the SST config, right?
Okay.
And as you may see, this is some sort of the const
Okay.
variables, where you define, for example, this is the site, and you can bind things into it because you
Oh,
can
right.
create the Kafka, the database, the some authentication services, the mono, just I don't know, monorepo backends, not monorepo backends, some pipelines, cron job. You can set up in SST config, bind them with permissions with all these layers and say SST, I provide you the all configuration, just create for me the cloud front exactly with this. And you can tune along the way if you need some modification, for example, change domain or add something or change the server or make AB or whatever you like, you can play with it.
Interesting. This is really cool.
Yep. And you can go this a lot of things and testing in databases and cron jobs, how to's. It's really great documentation. Where it's
Yeah.
just step by step how you can do it, what you must change, and FAQs if you have any question.
Perfecto.
And the SST pretty cheap. I know the free projects, especially from some YouTubers, and I also tried the few projects. It's about 75-85% of the overall cost reduction if you just start using the SST and it's not so late for you just to make it easy. right? Because when you see just your
Gotcha.
pricing points start growing up, start blowing, if you migrate in this point, you can save a lot of money, a lot of time.
Perfect. And what about the traffic aspect? Eventually, if you lay out the foundation and you start using platforms like Vercel, let's talk about SST in general. Eventually, when your website blows or your blog blows, what is the next move? Do you migrate to other technologies or do you stick to SSD or Vercel?
I think from the Vercel, I would recommend to give SST a chance and firstly understand what is the problem, where is the blowing, right?
Okay.
And one, how to say it, one downside to SST, only Vercel support the latest Next.js features. And in this
Ah, there you
case,
go.
yeah, this is the,
So
some kind of the trade-off.
yeah, and also there's one thing. It's always hard. For example, if you're a conventional software engineer or a programmer or a DevOps engineer, for example, it's always hard to pitch these kind of products because it takes away that kind of a freedom from a developer. It's like if all the infrastructure is being handled by a product, a lot of companies might be a bit skeptical in terms of giving away some of the company based data or some of their secrets, some of the environment variables, their integrations and stuff. So I think it's kind of hard to sell this kind of product to the enterprise, don't you think? I mean, if
Yeah.
I'm the co-founder and if I
Okay.
just want to launch a few products of my own, obviously I'll buy it. Like I can see that. I can see that now. I don't need a few people. I don't need a team first. I can go up and running just like that. But for w- but if the products start to grow and the scaling problems erupt, I think that's where we'll find ourselves in a bit of a pickle.
I think it depends because as we discussed, the Vercel not require tons of knowledge just to
Hmm.
work with it. And it's absolutely fine to use just few developers or seasonal developers or freelancers. They
Yeah,
absolutely free to use with the same technology because behind the scene it's React with some kind of the syntax sugar in terms of the routing, moreover.
exactly.
And in this case, it makes easy to hire someone to find the person who can contribute and make your continuous delivery better for your product rather than hire front end engineer, back end engineer, infrastructure engineer, keep it running, just boost it up. It requires a lot of investment from the just day zero, but it's
Gotcha.
maybe not
Gotcha.
suitable for everyone. And how to say it, if you're, let's say, the person who want to start some kind of the side project and then maybe turn it as a project or small company or side business, I think you should just rely on Vercel, or you can play with SST with the Honor just to understand where you positioning yourselves and understand where is your pain points, because where you're defining the idea and the strategy, for example, for the year or for the 2 years, you must know just what challenges you will face after X amount of time.
Gotcha. Makes sense. All right. I think we're almost on time. Any closing remarks? Uh, Definitely interesting tools, and we'll definitely follow up another podcast to actually review all of this information and action. Where I think we can start with building our podcast page
Yep.
in the next episode using
Yeah.
Vercel
And the
and
last one,
explore.
yeah,
Yeah.
last one, man, we forget one thing.
What?
We didn't discuss about the boilerplates because we all know this React Create app, Next.js Create app, but the
Yeah.
Vercel has
Obviously.
a good marketplace with the templates. And the templates, it
Mhm.
means they have the variety to use, for example, Tailwind or CSS or some database. They have templates. And if you need some kind of the page or some sort of the POC, you just try out the Vercel marketplace. You can find the boilerplate, and you can
Mhm.
just deploy it to the Vercel and try it out by yourself.
Gotcha. That's interesting. And you can
And so,
also use some of the AI aspects on that as well.
yeah, with the
The
V0, I think
generative
we
AI.
with the
Yeah,
V0
generative
we
AI aspects.
we will discuss next time.
Awesome. Awesome. Can't wait. All right, folks. This is it for this episode. Hope you liked some of the details around Vercel, SST, and some of the features it offers, and for what kind of audience does these products are actually more suitable for. And we will demo it next time within our podcast by building our podcast webpage. So,
Okay, makes sense.
all right. Perfect. Thanks. Thanks a lot, Anton, for joining. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Likewise, wish you a great day.